What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Tuesday. This is my first video in probably over a week, I guess, at this point in time. But yeah, I did want to make one and get back into the habit of doing this. I really tried to take a little bit of a break over the holiday and plan to be back and even stronger here now. I've been focusing a lot of time on trying to tweak some stuff and add a little bit more community engagement with Patreon, etc., etc. Okay, I wanted to start with this. This is XRP_Crow. This is at status. 32,000 signatures. We the people ask the federal government to deem XRP, the virtual currency, a currency. This is a petition. You can go right here, whitehouse.gov. I'm sure it's more than 32,000 at this point in time. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different in this video as well. I'm going to go over the Ripple, the XRP news, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a different thing here about midway through. So, all right, IMF blog. This is Glaciers of Global Finance, the currency composition of central banks' reserve holdings. And what I found interesting about this is, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You can go on the IMF's website if you want to. But it's just the rhetoric that's presented to us all. The currencies central banks hold as foreign exchange reserves have remained largely steady over decades. But geopolitical shifts, technological revolutions, what does that sound like? And the fallout from this pandemic could accelerate transformations in their reserve holdings. Makes it seem like something else is going to be coming for what they're holding in their reserves for these banking institutions. Interestingly enough, the IMF is the one posting this. We know that the IMF, they are the safe keepers of the SDR, special drawing rights, a basket of currencies, the most powerful and largest currencies in the world that essentially act for emergency situations, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see where that goes. Check out Darren's video. I think this is at 6 o'clock tonight, so in 8 minutes. Well, I think it's actually, what are we? He's behind me, so this may have already aired, but check out Darren's video. If you don't follow XRP Darren, I'm sure all of you do, at Fame21More, Fourth Industrial Revolution, Bitcoin XRP, news, etc., etc. I'll be watching that. The OCC Chief Counsel's interpretation. This came out overnight. I saw this on National Bank and Federal Savings Association's authorities to use independent node verification networks and stablecoins for payment activities. This is Brian Brooks. This came out yesterday. I'm sure many of you have seen this. Sam did a good video on this. I'm sure everybody in the crypto space has done a video on this. Now, I did say, what is it? INVNs, independent node verification networks. They talked about that and along with stable coins. And this essentially is, these banking institutions, the OCC, Brian Brooks, is basically stating that these banking institutions do not need these third parties. They do not need these intermediaries. This is absolutely gigantic. I mean, this is moving towards, it's just one more step in the progression of this technology. And these things roll out super slow. But, I have to commend Brian Brooks. The dude has been on fire. I think he got in as the head of the OCC after coming over from as one of the head legal individuals from Coinbase. I think it was May of 2020 when he went to the OCC as the head of the OCC. Now, here's the actual announcement from yesterday. Federally chartered banks and thrifts may participate in independent node verification networks and use stable coins for payment activities. Tetragon, we saw today, sued Ripple to force stock redemption. I'll go over that. I think I have more of that in here, but I know Ripple released a statement on that as well. Ripple Series C lead investor Tetragon sues company. Let me find Ripple's response. Trying to get through this video because my laptop has just been extremely slow. All right, here's the response, and it's literally like a super, super small response. A 1 minute read. In Ripple's Series C investment agreement, there is a provision that if XRP is deemed to be a security on a go-forward basis, then Tetragon has the option of having Ripple redeem their Ripple equity. Since there has been no such determination, this lawsuit has no merit. We are disappointed that Tetragon is seeking to unfairly take advantage of the lack of regulatory clarity here in the United States. The courts will provide this clarity, and we are very confident in our position. This also came out today. This is CoinDesk, but this is actually true. Grayscale drops XRP from large cap crypto fund following SEC suit. can see the Grayscale Trust there. Now, interestingly enough, I thought I saw it on here. They still have the private XRP trust, but they are no longer accepting new subscriptions for that trust. And I do believe, even as of a week or two ago, I think that they added to their position for the standalone XRP trust. But this large cap fund, they are dropping XRP from that large cap crypto fund. I think I saw also today that they added, instead of, after dropping XRP, they're going to be adding to the Bitcoin, Litecoin, I think Bitcoin Cash positions, et cetera, et cetera. So it is what it is. I'll go over what I'm looking at for XRP here in the near future shortly. Blockchain.com also to stop XRP trading next week. So if you are on blockchain.com, pay attention to that. This was on Forbes talking about the OCC, Brian Brooks implementing groundbreaking cryptocurrency guidance for banks in the future of payments. If you want to get, and I'm not a big fan of Forbes, but if you want to get a more consolidated kind of an overview of what that announcement means, they actually did not do a terrible breakdown of this, what it really means. So what does this really mean for the payment systems as we know it today? While the United States financial system functions relatively smoothly, traditional payment rails are still slow, expensive, and subject to banking hours and holidays, especially traditional banking rails when they're dealing with cross-border payments, everything else. The OCC's guidance opens the possibilities that banks will use INVNs and stablecoins to transfer funds between financial institutions faster and without the need of a government intermediary, like we just talked about. Now, if you didn't see yesterday, I'm not going to present on Stellar XLM, but the Stellar platform was just, reconfirmed with the Central Bank of Ukraine to build out their CBDC, essentially, to tie it into the inbound payment networks that, in Ukraine. So, all right, now I want to get into something a little bit different here for you guys, and just try to present this to you guys. Okay, so this is some of the stuff that I have been doing on Patreon. I'm also trying to look for trends, some things that look similar in these digital assets that have pumped. This is obviously extremely risky. These are low caps. Alliance Block and Ramp. I presented both of these on December 7th. Actually, Ramp was recommended to me. So a shout out to the dude that recommended this to me on Patreon. But while I was researching Ramp, I stumbled onto Alliance Block. When I stumbled onto it, 6 cents. I've talked about this before. It's at like 33 cents now. But I'm very much so considering this is rare to find like an Alliance Block, but you can find other ones. This is very much so getting into DeFi, decentralized finance, staking, etc. I want to get down into the Alliance Block partnerships, Quant, Holochain, Chainlink, L39, which is a gigantic incubator, et cetera, et cetera. They've got their Prometheus protocol, all their supporters down here. Avaloq, they're integrated into, won an Accenture award. Quant, they're integrated into they're basically providing Overledger. You can see the Alliance Block platform tying directly into Overledger, okay? Now, what's interesting to me, though, is, I'm trying to get a little bit more involved into this DeFi space if I can. Now, it's risky for sure. And I'm certainly not a financial advisor. But something like this now with Alliance Block, I presented the news. I actually invested a little bit into Alliance Block. I cashed out my initial investments at like 5 times or whatever I bought it at. It was at 6 cents. It went up to, I think, 40 cents. And I think I cashed out around 31 cents whatever I initially invested. But I still do hold Alliance Block, and their APR for liquidity mining is like ridiculous. So if you combine like 3 coins on here, I think it's on Balancer, and a dude on Patreon actually recommended this, XRP Axelrod. He has been doing this. He's been mentioning this for probably 2 or 3 weeks at this point, that he has been doing this ever since he got into ALBT. And 282.65 APY. So you have to have all 3 of these if you want to do that. But here's the article if you want to check. And I'm not an affiliate of Alliance Block whatsoever. But I know I've seen who they're tied into. Again, it's risky. It could go to whatever, nothing. But I'm certainly not opposed to doing this liquidity mining. And I think funds, from what I saw, are locked up for like a month. But they give an entire breakdown on here. I will link this in the video. All right, now with XRP, I have been talking about it. I said what I was watching, certainly. And it's interesting to me because I did a video like a week and a half ago, and the exact same thing has happened so far. So this is the Poloniex chart. It takes us all the way back to 2014. We can see, one of the stronger trend lines from then, after we had our initial breakout from that downtrend was like in June of 2016. Similar to what we saw in July of 2020 with that first breakout, right? What's interesting to me is that if you draw the trend line all the way down through, it doesn't necessarily, you could draw this base trend line right here a couple of different ways. But I think this is maybe more accurate at this point. This is on the weekly chart. This is the 21 EMA and the 50 EMA on the weekly. We've got one touch on the base trend line, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we broke through and touched this bottom one, which is drawn from the, essentially one of the stronger trend lines coming down from the bull market in 2000 and early 2018. We did the same exact thing in 2017. We touched base here. We went back above this base trend line again, dropped down a little bit below, but this is obviously a little bit different because our 21 EMA is still above the 50. I'm curious to see what happens here. I've been watching this base trend line and especially this like a hawk, especially on the weekly. I think if I zoom in, I still don't think we've had a candle close below this base trend line at all. We had a wick drop down and touch that trend line that comes down from the top of the bull market, not the top, but one of the stronger trend lines. And then again, we're kind of just sitting right here at this base trend line. I still haven't sold XRP, but if you followed me long enough, you guys know that I'm diversified to the point where XRP, yeah, it's still, I think it still is my main holdings. But I have enough where like main holdings, when I say that, it's like my dollar value amount is the most in XRP, but I've got a lot that are pretty close to where XRP is at this point, especially after this. These coins have went crazy. We've seen VeChain pump. We've seen Zilliqa do its thing. We've seen Theta. I don't hold Theta. Reserve Rights, which has went crazy. This is Ramp, which is the same thing that I posted at the same time as Alliance Block. It just did 100% today. When I post, it's like right back at when I posted this actually. But this is one of the things that I've been watching, trying to watch. And I'm not a technical analyst. I'm not a financial advisor whatsoever. But even if you zoom in on these like super easy trends, like look, I've got the 21 EMA right here, right? And you can see it turn a corner right here. Now, am I saying I would have bought right there? I don't know, maybe. But as soon as I can see that the 21 is going to cross above this 50 and that it's bound to happen, which is right around this time right here, because just the angles would be very difficult to to change. This may have been a good buying opportunity. Now, I bought and presented about Ramp back on, I think, the 7th of December, and it's back to where it was right about then. So we'll see where that one goes. They're tied in with the Alliance Block. They're tied in with a lot. I'm also very interested in the Polkadot ecosystem. I've seen so many, like imagine how you essentially have like hundreds to maybe the low thousands of projects built on top of Ethereum, right? I have seen so many new projects come out that are very much so tied into Polkadot, tied into, I think is it Parity Chain? Parity. We've got Kusama, which is like the Canary network, which is like, I don't want to say the test net of Polkadot, but when I say tons of projects like low caps that are like tied in with like Polkadot and some decent investors, I mean tons of projects. Like, so I'm definitely gonna be paying attention to a lot of projects that are being built on Polkadot, especially when you get into things like trying to get these small caps. Like this Alliance Block is only available on Uniswap, and I went on to Uniswap today, and the fee for like any amount transaction, and you always have to have Ethereum for your gas fees. The fee today was like $40 or $33 or something insane. So trying to catch these small caps, and I completely understand, like I don't put a lot into these, and I certainly don't sell it on my long-term bags. But if you want to put $100 into something and you have to pay $30 for the fee, you're losing out on $30 right away. You're only investing $70. And then if you want to sell out of that coin, like let's say you see something that's concerning to you with that coin, whether it be in the charts or whether it be a piece of news or whatever, and you want to sell out, you're like losing money essentially, you know, by buying and selling. You know, when the fees were like 12, 14 bucks, it wasn't a big deal, but $30, $40, I mean, that is just absolute insanity. This is a lines block again. This is actually like a little bit of a crazy chart here because it broke out of its downtrend. But it was only really available for like 2 months when it did this. I presented about this December 6th or December 7th, I'm sorry. And this is on the 4 hour. Actually, and then one more quick tip, which is not financial advice whatsoever. Some of these newer coins, if you try to look at any sort of trend, you can't if you do it on the daily. Lines block is even a little bit tricky with something like that because it's only been around since late September. But you're looking for crosses, you're looking for certain trends, you're looking for breakouts of triangles. If you want to zoom in on something like that and get a little bit more of a picture as to where things could potentially be going, look at the 4 hour. Now with something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Stellar, I like literally never look at anything besides, I actually really look at like the weekly. But I will look at the daily every once in a while just to see what things are wicking down to, because chipping away at resistance or support. But this is the 4 hour. We can see a lines block right now. We've still got the 21 above the 50. And it's crazy to see how these things, once you start actually looking at these things on a consistent basis, again, I don't chart. I try to look for extremely simple trends if I can. These things touch off like consistently, like look at whenever the parabolic rise happened. It held on the 21 the entire time. And then whenever it flattened out a little bit and you see some consolidation, like a consolidation triangle forming, you could call it whatever you want to call it. You start touching off on the bottom of this triangle. You start touching off and holding support on the 50. You maybe break back above. It's just nuts how these things somewhat seem to play out every once in a while. I'm not saying it's for certain. Everything comes with a crap ton of risk, especially low caps in this space. But there are still gems out there, certainly. My only concern with holding multiple positions in some of these, even in major ones, having too many coins that you can't keep track of. Certainly if Bitcoin decides to do a major retrace and you want to try to capitalize on that. Now, granted, I will still be paying attention because we do know that in the past, altcoins have exploded when Bitcoin retraced. But, you know, Bitcoin has went pretty parabolic. I think that when it does retrace, it's going to be a violent one, and I think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. And I think that it's going to make a lot of people scared. So I wouldn't be surprised if these alts crashed, and I wouldn't be surprised if these alts mooned. However, what you need to do is be cognizant and try to keep a low enough number of these that you can try to maintain, you know, being able to check all of these on a daily basis. You know, if you have 70 coins, it's almost impossible to do that. Now, you may not care if you only have 40 or 50 bucks invested into them, but I don't know. It is what it is. Frontier, and this is part of that staking as well. This is one of the things that I'm looking at for this. We can see that, you know, as we had the cross here, we had the little pump. Now, sometimes when these moving averages cross, you get a little pump. Sometimes it's depending on the way that they interact as well. You know, you need like a definitive cross sometimes. I'm watching this one. I actually did present this to Patreon like two or three weeks ago, and then just again as well because I'm interested into the liquidity mining through Alliance Block and this pairing for 282% APY. I think it's interesting. Again, I think they're locked up for about a month if you do that. I think that is it. Now, I'm going to be paying attention to XRP. Certainly, like I said, I am still watching this like a hawk. I don't see anything crazy to me right now. But again, I'm not a technical analyst. If you want, there's people out there that do that way better than I do. Blockchain Backer does it 1,000 times better than most people that I've seen. You know, I will continue to preach diversity in this space as far as different assets. I will continue to support people depending on what their decisions are. I could care less. I'm in this space. I'll try to present the news that I find when I find it. I'm certainly not going to tell people what to do with their money. And yeah, let's all just pay attention, see where this goes. And I hope to make more videos this week. Oh, real quick, for those of you that actually watch to the end of this. So I do have Discord on Patreon now, but I'm on Twitter like all day. So I actually am going to try to add every single person that's on Patreon to Twitter for a group chat. And it's much easier to catch me on Twitter, and like even today, somebody asked me about a coin on Twitter in the group chat, and I spent like 25 minutes just like researching as much as I could about it, just posting it, doing a data dump into the Twitter chat. It's just much easier. Patreon like honestly sucks to do deep dives. I'm not saying I'm not going to continue doing them on that platform, but you have to save every individual picture. And people have complained in the past that it's too difficult to read through 30 different things. Yeah, and I agree with them. It's much easier just to do something on Twitter where it's very fluid. I'm on Twitter anyways, but I'm going to still operate on Discord. I'm obviously still going to post to the Patreon platform for all the patrons out there. Twitter just allows me to communicate fluidly throughout the day, regardless. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if there is news tomorrow, I will certainly be presenting it. All right, later.